This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 874, Motivation is Overrated, and You Owe You, both by Ross Enamait of rosstraining.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Thursday, and welcome to the podcast where I simply read blogs to you for free, usually sometimes books, but always with permission from the websites, and all with the hope of helping you optimize your life. Today's posts come from Ross Training, which is typically featured on my brother's podcast, that's Optimal Health Daily, where he narrates health and fitness blogs and also answers audio questions that you send in to him. And I have two shorter posts from Ross in the personal development genre. Before we get to his posts, hiring? ZipRecruiter has revolutionized how you do it. Their technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. They find great candidates for you. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/old. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Now let's get to the two posts as we optimize your life. Motivation is Overrated by Ross Enamait of rosstraining.com. Out of the thousands of emails that I receive each year, motivation is perhaps the most asked topic of all. It is rare that a day passes without someone inquiring about how I've stayed motivated after so many years. Ironically, I can't recall the last time anyone asked me about discipline. For some reason, motivation always gets more attention. Everyone wants to be motivated, while few take the time to consider discipline. That's a mistake. Discipline is greater than motivation. One of the biggest myths of all is that successful people are constantly motivated. The online world that we live in certainly perpetuates this false assumption. Social media only captures what a person wants you to see. As a result, certain people have created the illusion that they operate in a fairy tale land that's devoid of bad days and bad moods. The reality, though, is that no one lives in a constant state of motivation. We all experience ups and downs and moments when we don't feel like doing what needs to be done. Successful people don't just work when they feel like working, however. Instead, they are disciplined enough to get the job done regardless of their mood. If you always wait to feel a certain way before you act, don't expect to ever accomplish anything worthwhile. Too much time will be spent procrastinating as you sit around waiting for the perfect mood to arrive. Meanwhile, your successful competitors will be busy putting in the work whether they want to or not. Embrace the grind. One of the keys to becoming more successful is recognizing the simple fact that life is tough. There's no such thing as a perfect time to work or start a new task. Therefore, rather than constantly seeking out motivation to begin or continue, your time would be better spent cultivating habits that will eventually lead towards enhanced productivity. Speaking for myself, I've never relied on motivation to succeed. I certainly welcome those times when I'm fired up and ready to go, but I'll never limit my output to such moments. I'd rather take pride in my work than wait to feel a certain way before I work. Do it anyway. The other night I was out running hills at a local park. As I finished one of my last sprints, a passerby walked over and jokingly said, "I wish I had your motivation." I had just finished sprinting a long hill, so I wasn't about to engage in a conversation. I smiled and waved in appreciation and began jogging back to the bottom of the hill. While jogging down, I started to think about what the man said. All of a sudden, I found myself shaking my head. I wasn't feeling motivated at all. It had been a long day. My sleep cycle was off from the holidays, and I surely would have felt better doing something else. I had already run several sprints, but my next one was the fastest of all. I sprinted to the top in hopes of seeing the man. Fortunately, he was already long gone. I probably would have sounded like a lunatic, but I wanted him to know that I wasn't motivated at all. Motivation isn't what puts one foot in front of the other. It's discipline and work ethic that keeps me going. In other words, just because I don't feel like doing something doesn't stop me from doing it anyway. Final thoughts. As great as it feels to be motivated, it is important to understand that motivation alone will only take you so far. Whether extrinsic or intrinsic, motivation can come and go in a flash. Discipline, however, is rooted in consistency. It quietly yet continuously chugs along in the background. It becomes part of who you are and what you do. As an old saying suggests, first you make your habits, and then your habits make you. A disciplined person gets up and grinds day after day. They don't wait for the perfect mood to arrive before beginning. Instead, they cherish the feeling of accomplishment that comes after the fact. That's where the real joy lies. In summary, don't give motivation more credit than it deserves. You don't need to be motivated to succeed. What you need is the self-discipline to put in the work whether you want to or not. Successful people don't waste time looking for motivation. They are too busy putting in the work that will eventually allow them to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And I have another article for you in a sec, but first, hiring? Every business needs great people and a better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way, so they built a platform that finds the right job candidates for you. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. These invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. And ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. They even spotlight the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/old. That's ZipRecruiter.com/OLD. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. You Owe You by Ross Enamait of RossTraining.com. In a previous entry from last year, I mentioned that it can be useful to occasionally conduct a performance review of yourself. In other words, take a moment to reflect on what you've done and what you could have done better. It is always useful to hold yourself accountable rather than blaming someone else for your inaction or mistakes. To put it bluntly, you owe it to yourself to be the best that you can be. And if or when you fail to meet that standard, you need to recognize it and be willing to change. You owe you. Eric Thomas is one of the few motivational speakers whose passion is undeniable. The video in this article offers a perfect example. In many ways, it is a follow-up to the idea of holding yourself accountable for your actions or lack of action. It is well worth a look. As stated within, it is important that you value yourself enough to always do your best. Many people in today's world rip themselves off more than even the shadiest marketer ever could. Just think of how many times you have sold yourself short. I'm not ashamed to admit that I've been guilty of this mistake many times. As a youngster, I ripped myself off more than anyone else ever did. Every day counts. I'm not suggesting that you drive yourself crazy by constantly evaluating your progress. I'm also not here to point fingers at anyone who hasn't reached their potential. The real point that I hope to convey is that we all have the opportunity to begin doing the best that we can. Regardless of what has happened before, there's always a chance to start fresh. With that in mind, it can be incredibly useful to start each day by promising yourself to make the most of the day. That's what it takes to perform at a higher level. You need to hold yourself to a higher standard. When you wake up with that mindset, it can literally change the way you attack the day. It's entirely different from waking up without a plan or purpose. If you lack direction and commitment, it won't matter how much talent you have. Much of it will be wasted. Final thoughts. Rather than constantly researching how much value you can derive from a potential purchase, focus on how much value you can provide to yourself. You don't need anything or anyone to get yourself to do more. What can you do for you? Answer that question honestly each day, and you'll be surprised at how much more you can do to improve your situation. As an old saying suggests, the best place to find a helping hand is at the end of your own arm. You just listened to the posts titled Motivation is Overrated and You Owe You, both by Ross Enamait of RossTraining.com. I'll keep this ending nice and short for you. Have a very happy Thursday, and I'll see you in the Friday show tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.